All right, dude, let's go. Number 7. Euler's identity and the signature in the equation. Take the 5 most important numbers in mathematics. 0, 1, pi, e, and I, the imaginary unit, the square root of -1. They come from completely different branches. 0 and 1 are the foundations of arithmetic. Pi comes from geometry. E comes from calculus. I comes from algebra. They were discovered centuries apart by different people for different reasons in different countries. They have no obvious business being in the same room. And yet, in 1748, Leonhard Euler proved that e raised to the power of I times pi plus 1 equals 0. All 5 constants. One equation. No leftovers, no adjustments, no forcing. The equation does not approximate, it is exact. 5 numbers from 5 separate corners of mathematics, connecting in a single expression of absolute precision. Mathematicians have called it the most beautiful equation in existence. The physicist Richard Feynman called it the most remarkable formula in mathematics. Benjamin Peirce, one of the founders of American mathematics, said after proving it on a blackboard, "It is absolutely paradoxical. We cannot understand it, and we do not know what it means, but we have proved it, and therefore we know it must be the truth." Ask yourself why. Why would 5 unrelated constants, developed independently across centuries, connect so perfectly? If mathematics is just a tool humans invented, this is a coincidence of staggering improbability. If mathematics is something deeper, something with structure and intention, then Euler's identity looks less like a coincidence and more like a signature, something placed at the intersection of 5 fundamental ideas waiting to be found. A hallmark of design hidden in the architecture of abstract thought. Beauty in mathematics has no evolutionary function. Natural selection does not reward the ability to find elegance in equations, and yet mathematicians consistently report that the most beautiful equations tend to be the most true. Beauty is a guide to truth. In a random universe, that should not work. In a designed one, it is exactly what you would expect. The 5 most important numbers in mathematics meet in one equation. Nobody arranged that meeting, but someone might have. Number 6. The Fibonacci sequence and the fingerprint across creation. Start with 0 and 1. Add them. You get 1. Add the last 2. You get 2. Keep going. 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144. This is the Fibonacci sequence, a pattern so simple a child can continue it. Now look at the natural world. Sunflower seeds arrange themselves in spirals. Count the spirals going clockwise and counterclockwise. The numbers are always consecutive Fibonacci numbers. 34 and 55, 55 and 89. Always. Pinecone scales spiral in Fibonacci numbers. The branching of trees follows Fibonacci patterns. The arrangement of leaves around a stem. The spiral of a nautilus shell. The number of petals on a flower. Lilies have 3. Buttercups have 5. Daisies have 34 or 55 or 89. Almost never a number outside the sequence. Now look bigger. The arms of spiral galaxies curve in logarithmic spirals directly related to the golden ratio, which is the number the Fibonacci sequence converges toward, 1.618. Hurricanes spiral in the same pattern. DNA molecules measure 34 angstroms long by 21 angstroms wide in each full cycle of the double helix. 34 and 21, consecutive Fibonacci numbers, one mathematical sequence, invented by nobody, appearing in flower petals, seashells, hurricanes, galaxies, and the molecule that encodes your existence. Across every scale of reality, from the microscopic to the cosmic, the same pattern repeats, the same mathematical fingerprint. In a random universe, patterns appear locally. Crystals repeat because of atomic geometry. Waves repeat because of fluid dynamics. But a single abstract numerical sequence appearing in biology, meteorology, astronomy, and molecular genetics simultaneously, across scales separated by factors of trillions, has no unified physical explanation. No single force or mechanism connects sunflower seeds to spiral galaxies. The pattern is not in the physics, it is in the mathematics, and it is everywhere, as if someone wrote the same number into every page of the book, not hidden, just quiet, waiting to be counted. One sequence, every scale, no physical explanation that unifies them all. Either the universe accidentally repeats the same mathematical signature across every domain of reality, or the signature was put there on purpose. Number 5. Ramanujan and the mathematics that arrived from nowhere. In 1913, a clerk in Madras, India, with almost no formal training in mathematics, mailed a letter to G.H. Hardy, one of the most prominent mathematicians at Cambridge. The letter contained roughly 120 theorems, no proofs, just results. Hardy later said that some of them defeated me completely, and that they must be true, because if they were not true, no one would have had the imagination to invent them. The clerk's name was Srinivasa Ramanujan. He had no university degree. He had taught himself from a single outdated textbook. He worked in isolation, in poverty, producing mathematical results that were decades ahead of anything his contemporaries had achieved. He claimed the theorems came to him in dreams from the goddess Namagiri. He said he would wake up and write them down. He did not derive them. He received them. Hardy brought him to Cambridge. Over the next 5 years, Ramanujan produced nearly 4,000 results. Infinite series, partition functions, modular forms, continued fractions of extraordinary depth. Many of his results were proven correct decades after his death. Some are still being verified today. His work on Mach theta functions, scribbled in his final letter to Hardy in 1920, was not fully understood until 2002, when Saunders-Zwagers completed the theoretical framework. 82 years later, Ramanujan's mathematics did not come from existing mathematics. It did not follow from previous work. It arrived, fully formed, from a source he identified as divine. You can dismiss the mysticism, but you cannot dismiss the math. It is correct. It is profound. It anticipated discoveries that would not occur for a century, and it came from a man who had no access to the tools, the training, or the literature that should have been required to produce it. If mathematics is a human invention, Ramanujan invented things he had no means to invent. If mathematics is a discovery, he discovered things that were not yet visible to anyone on Earth. Either his mind was doing something no human mind should be able to do, or his mind was receiving something from somewhere that human minds do not normally access. He said it was God. The math says he was getting it from somewhere. The question is where? Number 4, the infinite information argument. Mathematics is infinite. This is not a metaphor. It is a structural fact. There are infinitely many numbers. Between any two numbers, there are infinitely many more. The digits of pi extend forever without repeating. The prime numbers go on without end. The set of all mathematical truths is limitless, unbounded, and inexhaustible. Now compare that to the physical universe. The universe has a finite number of particles, roughly 10 to the 81st. It has a finite age, 13.8 billion years, a finite volume, a finite amount of energy, a finite information content. The Bekenstein bound sets an upper limit on the amount of information that can be contained in a finite region of space. Everything physical is bounded. Mathematics is not. Mathematics exceeds the universe in every dimension. There are more mathematical truths than there are physical particles to represent them. The set of all prime numbers alone exceeds the information capacity of the cosmos. Mathematics cannot fit inside the universe. The container is too small. So where does it exist? You cannot touch pi. You cannot weigh a theorem. You cannot put the number 7 in a box. Mathematics does not exist in physical space. It exists in minds. When you think about a number, the number is in your mind. When you stop thinking about it, the number does not cease to exist. Other minds can access it. It is shared. It is permanent. It is not created by the thinking. It is accessed by the thinking. If mathematics exists in minds, and mathematics is infinite, then the mind that contains all of mathematics must be infinite. Not a human mind. Human minds are finite. They can access fragments of mathematics. They cannot contain all of it. The mind that contains all mathematical truth must be unlimited, non-physical, unbounded by space and time, permanent. The properties of that mind are not ambiguous. It is infinite. It is non-physical. It contains all truth. It exists independently of the universe. Every theologian in human history has used the same word for an entity with exactly those properties. Mathematics is infinite. The universe is not. Mathematics exists in minds. Therefore, an infinite mind exists. The argument is not clever. It is structural. The math forces it. Number 3. The Boltzmann Brain catastrophe. In the late 1800s, physicist Ludwig Boltzmann tried to explain why the universe is orderly. His statistical mechanics worked beautifully, but it created a problem that physics has never escaped. If the universe has no designer, no purpose, no intentional structure, then it will eventually reach thermal equilibrium, maximum disorder, heat death. And in that state, random quantum fluctuations will occasionally produce, by pure chance, every possible configuration of matter, including brains, conscious, thinking, self-aware brains, assembled from random particle collisions, complete with false memories of a life they never lived. Physicists call them Boltzmann brains. Here is the catastrophe. In an undesigned universe headed toward eternal equilibrium, Boltzmann brains outnumber real biological observers, not by a small amount, by a factor so enormous that every other number in physics becomes irrelevant. The random fluctuations have eternity to work with. Evolution has a few billion years. Given infinite time, randomness wins, and what it produces is not civilizations. It is momentary hallucinations. That means if the universe has no designer, you are almost certainly not a real person. You are almost certainly a Boltzmann brain, a random assembly of particles that spontaneously hallucinated an entire world, an entire history, an entire life. Your memories are fabricated. Your senses are noise. Your experience of this moment is a statistical accident that will dissolve in a fraction of a second. Sean Carroll of Johns Hopkins calls any cosmological theory that predicts Boltzmann brain domination cognitively unstable. If you believe it, you cannot trust the reasoning that led you there. The belief destroys itself. There are two ways out. One requires specific, unexplained, fine-tuned features of dark energy and the cosmological constant. The other is simpler. The universe is designed. The order you see around you is not an accident. It is not a fluctuation. It is intentional, placed there by something that wanted observers to be real, not random. Without a designer, the math says you are probably not real. With a designer, you are. That is not theology. That is probability. Number 2. Penrose and the mind that escapes the machine. In 1989, physicist Roger Penrose, who would later win the 2020 Nobel Prize, published The Emperor's New Mind. The argument he made has never been refuted. It begins with Gödel. In 1931, Gödel proved that any formal mathematical system powerful enough to do arithmetic contains true statements it cannot prove. The system has limits. It cannot reach certain truths from within. This is the incompleteness theorem. It applies to every formal system, every algorithm, every computer program, every artificial intelligence, every machine that operates by following rules. But it does not apply to you. You can see that the Gödel sentence is true. You can step outside the system, look at the statement the system cannot prove, and recognize its truth, not by following rules, not by computation, by understanding. Penrose's argument is that this ability, the ability to see truths that no formal system can derive, proves that human consciousness is not a computation. It is not an algorithm. It is not reducible to a Turing machine. The mind does something that mathematics has proven no machine can do. If the human mind is not a machine, it is not physical in the way machines are physical. Machines are defined by their rules. Brains are physical structures. But consciousness, the thing that sees Gödel truths, operates beyond the rules, beyond the formal, beyond the computable. This means there is something about you that is not captured by physics, not captured by equations, not captured by the material structure of your brain. Something non-physical, something that transcends the formal system of the universe itself. Penrose did not frame this as a proof of God, but follow the logic. If consciousness transcends computation, it transcends the physical. If it transcends the physical, it is not a product of the physical universe. If it is not a product of the physical universe, its origin is elsewhere. And if your mind can see truths that the entire mathematical universe cannot prove, then your mind has access to something beyond the universe. The machine cannot escape its own rules. You can. That ability did not come from the machine. It came from somewhere else. And the question of where that somewhere is leads to the same place every other entry on this list has been pointing. Number 1. Gödel's ontological proof. Everything in this video so far has been an inference. Beauty that looks designed, patterns that look placed, a mind that received mathematics from somewhere, an infinite information space that requires an infinite mind, a probability catastrophe that requires a designer, a consciousness that escapes computation, strong arguments, but still arguments. This one is different. In 1970, Kurt Gödel, The same man who proved mathematics is incomplete, who proved formal systems have walls they cannot see past, sat down and did something else. He wrote a formal mathematical proof for the existence of God. He did not publish it. He showed it privately to a colleague. It circulated in philosophical logic circles after his death in 1978. And in 2013, Christoph Benzmüller of the Free University of Berlin and Bruno Wolzenlogel Paleo of the Technical University of Vienna did something that changed the conversation. They entered the proof into automated theorem-proving software. The computer verified it. Every step, every axiom, every derivation. The logic is valid. The proof uses modal logic, the branch of mathematics dealing with possibility and necessity. It defines God as a being possessing all positive properties. It proves that if such a being is possible, then such a being is necessary, and if necessary, then actual, existing. Here, you can debate the axioms. You can argue about what positive property means. Philosophers have done so for decades, but you cannot call the logic flawed. It is not. A computer checked. The proof stands. Now step back and look at what this video has shown you. Euler's identity showed 5 constants meeting in one equation with the precision of a signature. Fibonacci showed one sequence stamped across every scale of reality. Ramanujan showed mathematics arriving in a human mind from a source he called divine. The infinite information argument showed that math cannot live inside a finite universe and must exist in an infinite mind. Boltzmann Brains showed that without design, your existence is a statistical hallucination. Penrose showed that your consciousness does something no machine can do and no physical system can explain. And Gödel, the greatest logician in human history, the man who found the cracks in the foundations of mathematics itself, sat down and proved with formal logic that a being with all positive properties necessarily exists, and a machine confirmed he was right. 7 entries, 7 branches of mathematics, 7 independent arguments from 7 different centuries, 7 different mathematicians, 7 different starting points, all arriving at the same conclusion, not through faith, through calculation. The math does not suggest, it does not hint, it does not leave the question open. God is not hiding from mathematics. God is what mathematics finds when it follows its own rules far enough. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.